Hello, this is Prince of Somnia, and welcome to Let's Play Dragon Quest VI, Realms of Revelation. It's, for reasons I'll specify later, very fitting that this happens to be the first outing into the Dragon Quest series this channel has made. I've been dying to have the capabilities of recording this series since basically the channel's start, and I wanted to start with Dragon Quest VI because it happens to be one of my personal choice pieces from this season. So if you're ready to figure out why exactly I call myself the Prince of Somnia, then join me on Let's Play Dragon Quest VI. Trouble sleeping? It's only natural. The time is almost at hand, after all. Now, where did he get to? He went to check the path ahead, but that was some time ago. Ahoy! Are you two done sawing logs? I was out scouting. Ain't no doubt about it. This is definitely the place. You get enough rest? It's high time we shove off. He's right. We've nothing to gain from dallying here. It's been a long journey, but our goal is finally in sight. We have no choice but to press on. Let's do this, Rex. The dread fiend ain't gonna defeat himself. The fate of the world rests on this battle. If we can emerge victorious, peace will be restored. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Come, Rex, we must go. And now, we have control over our blue-haired friend here, Rex. You have the option, when you start a new file, of naming your hero whatever you really want to. Dragon Quest kind of has this tradition where there are never any, set-in-stone official Word of God names for any of the heroes. But since calling this guy Six doesn't sit well with me, I went with Rex instead, because there is at least one pseudo-official, I think, manga out there where he is known as Rek, spelled R-E-K, or Reku, but, well, that's not really a name, so I went with Rex because Xenoblade 2 memes are a lot funnier than Get Wrecked memes. Murdaw's holed up inside his keep, just beyond this cliff. Aye, there ain't no turning back now. Yeah, it seems like we've kind of been en medias resed, right in the middle of some big conflict with the final boss. It's nice of the game to, just cut to the chase, cut the bullcrap, and, send us right up against our foe. The final leg of our journey awaits us. If the legends are true, all that remains is to play this ocarina. Well, here goes nothing. Well, this is a bit creepy. Anyway, let's talk to our two compatriots. You getting a whiff of this foul air? Aye, this is Murdoch's castle, all right. It seems we've no other choice but to keep moving forward. Lead the way, Rex. If you try to leave, the door is firmly locked. And if you try to go this way, the door is firmly locked. There really isn't any way for us to go, but pretty much dead forward. There is actually nothing here for us. There are no enemies, there are no treasures, just a straight shot right to the boss, which, again, how very considerate of the game to not waste our time, you know? So many JRPGs just start off so slowly, you know, you spend so much time doing this and that and the other, and then you finally get to some real plot. This game, nah, you just start off right off the bat. Rex, wait! Murdoch awaits us beyond this door. I can feel it. It's do or die time, Rex. It's been a real cakewalk so far, though, don't you think? I mean, yeah, but like maybe he's just, you know, raring for us to go. Huh. Maybe it's just my nerves. I'm through with thinking. After you, Rex. What's going on? What's with this mist? I can't see a... Whoa! Did you really think it would be this easy? Fools, prepare to spend the rest of eternity as lifeless lumps of stone. Rex, what happened? How did I fall off my bed on that, like, part of the floor? Like, I would literally have had to, like, jump out of bed. None the least of the fact that this sprite implies that I fell asleep with my sword strapped to my back. What a fine brother you are, Rex, scaring me like that. Falling out of bed is no way to start your day. You sure you're okay? Oh, by the way, Mayor Spindle stopped by earlier to see you. I told him you were sleeping, so he said he'd come back later. Well, that's kind and considerate. Not that there's really much to this house at all. But anyway, if you check this drawer, we got a leather hat, which is a piece of equipment that I will be talking about a little bit later. If you head back here, you can pick up 10 gold coins and a seed of agility. I'm going to hold on to that seed for later. Do you have anything different to say? No, not really. Anyway, I'm going to step outside and I'm going to be a little quiet because the music in this town, or well, in towns in general, is really, really good. Kind of like impossible to be upset with a music such as this. It's just so happy. It's probably one of my favorite town themes of all of Dragon Quest just because it sounds like a festival or something like that, you know? Like, it's just so enthusiastic and wonderful, and I love it. But anyway, this is Weaver's Peak, our beloved peasant village, which is very likely to gonna get burned to the ground in somewhere in the future, but, you know, that's just what you do with the hero's beloved village. Now anyway, as you can see, gameplay in these towns and stuff is stretched out on top of both screens. which is part of the reason why the layout for this game is a little bit different than the layout for Let's Play Pokemon Platinum, because there's a little bit more, shall we say, it looks a little bit better to have a full view of the screen, is how I'll put it that way. I'll try to keep the most important information on a bigger screen, even though I have both screens showed off on the side there, just to help us out. But most of the game is focused on the bottom screen. But anyway, one of the really nice things about the DS Dragon Quest games is that if you press L or R, you can actually rotate the camera in towns, which is kind of wild when you think about it. Like, a lot of RPGs didn't used to let you do this. Not even the original Super Nintendo version used to let you do that. But anyway, there's a medicinal herb in that pot over there. Let's see. There's nothing in the well for us, but just to show this off. It's 12 hours of sleep? Jesus. When was the last time I slept for 12 hours? Yeah, there's nothing here for us except for... Oh, for goodness sake. I'm a bad sea slime. I was hoping for a chance to encounter my pal Curie, but we keep missing each other. I need to stop spending so much time gooped up in my shell. I hope you like puns, cause the translation of Dragon Quest, basically since the early 2000s, has been, well, full of punishment, for lack of a better term. 10 gold coins in there for us, and what are you doing? Looks like there's graffiti on the wall. Buddy is a wimp. Nice. Let's see. I have a map here, by the way, which is why I know that there are 3 gold coins in that little barrel over there. The reason why I'm going around and collecting things is because, especially this early in the game, it's nice to have as much as possible for, you want to have as much as possible for, like, buying equipment and items and things like that. So it's kind of important. I'm not usually going to make too much of a... No, that's a lie. I am actually going to probably end up making a habit of talking to everyone, because in RPGs like this, there are usually a lot of people who have useful things to say, at the very least. I mean, this being our beloved peasant village, everyone kind of knows everyone, so... Ooh, shiny! It doesn't look like something Rex could afford. Yeah, we won't be able to afford that for quite some time, but do keep that in mind for later. We will be back for it, eventually. It's just too expensive for us right now. But anyway, let's head inside this church-looking building, because in Dragon Quest, modern Dragon Quest, the church usually has something very important to offer us. If you talk to the priest at the church, or whoever's at the desk at the church, you have various different options here. Confession, which is kind enough to let you know that that means save. Basically, you talk to the priest and ask for a confession, and you save the game. It's very important to remember to do this as often as you can. You could save over other files if you need to. I'll just save over the file that I used to test out the recording. Don't ask me why I put all F's in the file name. That's not important. You can save over multiple adventure logs and restore from wherever you need to be. That's important you do this because from the last point you saved, if you die, you get revived there, but you lose half your coins, so that's not good. Try not to die. Divination tells you how many experience points you need to reach the next level for all your party members. Resurrection restores a party member to life if they reach 0 HP, but it costs money based on your level. And Purification cures poison, which you can do at the church. Not that... Again, Purification also costs money, and it's probably just better for you to get an antidotal herb to cure poison than it is to, you know, hike your way all the way to a church, but it's at least there. Anyway, let's grab this medicinal herb. And then let's pay Mayor Spindle a visit. Ah, there you are, my boy. I've got a little job for you today, Rex. Surely you're aware of how much our village goods fetch down in Haggleton. The proceeds from these goods pay for the Spirit Crown we use for the Fortune Festival each year. This year, Rex, I'd like to ask you to procure the crown for our village. The path down the mountain can be tricky at times, but I'm sure you're more than up to the task. 10 sheets of silk and 1 wooden knick-knack should fetch more than enough for the crown. You think you can handle this, Rex? Wonderful. I'll put everything in your bag. Make sure you don't lose it now. Once you get down those cliffs, just follow the path south until you reach the town of Haggleton. Best of luck, Rex. Alright, awesome. And let me just borrow this. Speaking of antidotal herbs, you know. Aw, that's cute. Let's take a look at the bookshelves. Wow. Slyman Gooington Smythe. Thanks, I hate it. Bookshelves like those are usually good to check because they often, if they have something, you know, useful, it's usually really useful for you. So, that's really nice. Let's take a look at the mirror. Aw. That's sweet. The Dragon Quest series, when translated in English by at least the modern translation team, has a lot of humor to it, and I love it. It's nice to have a game that has, you know, a plot but doesn't take itself too seriously, you know? Sometimes you just need it to not be so serious. Oh, we actually do need to enter that house. Whoops! There's something in here that's very worth our while to collect, a Seed of Resilience. Okay. That's basically every item we can collect in town. So let's do a little shopping, or at least see if I can do a little shopping. Let's see. So we have a leather hat, and we can't quite afford the hardwood headwear just yet. So I'll hold off on that for a while. But right now, I do want to buy, let's say, 4 medicinal herbs, just for emergencies. What they do is that they heal a decently small amount of HP, which should be more than enough to cover the amount of health we have right now. They're very useful in emergencies which we might be running into. Now, before I move on to head off to Haggleton to sell the goods, let's press the X button and open the menu. We have several options down here for us to examine. We have Talk, which lets us talk to party members, you know, if we had one. We have Magic, which we can't really do anything with right now because we don't have any magic. We have Items, which opens up your inventory. Each party member has their own separate limited inventory, as well as the bag, which has infinite space. So if you find yourself getting full up on inventory, you can just use the bag. Now, every character is limited on how much they can carry, and items don't stack on personal inventory space, so you kind of have to manage everything yourself. Let's transfer the Seed of Agility to the bag, because I don't want to use that quite yet. I want to save that for later. From here, we can equip the leather hat, which we really should, because we need the defense, and we can also use this Seed of Resilience. What seeds do is that they increase the base stats of a party member based on what they are. Resilience is something that's really, really... Wow! 5! That's really good. Seeds usually have a range between like 1 and, I think, 5 total stat boost. So we actually got the best of the best out of that Seed of Resilience, which is super good, actually. But anyway, I'll explain more about stats later. We have Examine, which lets us examine the area around our feet if there's like hidden items or things like that. It does kind of the same thing as the A button would do on the main world, but more specific, or like rooted to the area you're standing on. Anyway, The attributes menu is a list of all of your attributes, basically. It shows you an overview of your equipment, your total experience, something called mastery level, which we don't quite have any of yet, and I'll explain about that later. A little profile, and your stats. To explain what stats are, strength is a measure of how much damage you can do with your physical attacks. Agility is your speed, is your turn order. Resilience is your defense, how well you can withstand hits. Wisdom determines just about everything you do relating to magic, be that magic attack or magical healing, things of that nature. And style is not too important. Basically what it does is it has some limited effects in battle, like a high enough style stat might dazzle an enemy for a turn because you look so good. It generally won't have that much of a huge effect outside of like random encounters, and it definitely doesn't do anything for bosses, so don't worry about style for now. There is a time where we will probably end up doing stuff with style later for a side quest, but not at the moment. Now, attack and defense are... Well, attack is the sum of your strength stat and your weapons attack stat, and defense is the sum of your resilience stat and your armor's total defense stats. So, that's basically a brief overview. There's also a hidden luck stat that the game doesn't really tell you about, but don't worry about that too much. You also have an overview of just how many tokens we have, mini medals, and gold. We don't have any tokens or mini medals yet, but I'll explain that as we get them. Gold is, well, the currency. You get gold, you buy things. That's how capitalism works, generally. And then miscellaneous has a bunch of options for us. Heal All uses magic and or items to heal your entire party up to as close to full as it possibly can, automatically, so if you use that between battles, just as a quick and easy way of getting your party topped up after a pretty difficult fight. Equips the equipment. That didn't come out quite right. Lineup, if we had party members, would let us change our party lineup. Tactics, if we had party members, would let us change how they behave in combat. Organize items lets you organize the items you have on any given person and store things away in the bag. Sort bag does what it says it does. We've got settings here, which we can use to increase the battle message speed. I'm going to leave it at 2, I think, just slightly faster than it was, and then I'll leave the volume as is. And we also have quick save, which lets you save the game on the spot and then turn the DS off if you need to get somewhere in a hurry, but don't have time to make it to a town. Anyway, if we exit Weaver's Peak and head south, we can make it over here to the mountain pass and talk to Buddy, who's kind of just lying around. Now that's one thing I want to talk about this game, is that the sprite work and the sprite animations are really good in this game. They're the best out of the entire DS sprite DS Dragon Quest games, I will say, referring to Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6. Mostly because this was the most recent Dragon Quest game released on the DS, so it's really well animated. Like you saw in the beginning of the game, where we had the dragon flight and everything. But yeah, they're really well made sprite work. And speaking of well-made sprite work, we have a battle against a scare root and a model slime. Now, enemies like these are, since they're early game, rather weak. You want to take care of the scare root first because it's a little bit more powerful than the model slime is. But otherwise, yeah, there we go. But otherwise, both of them are not particularly tough. They go down in 1 or 2 hits at most, even with a cypress stick, so they should be easy enough for you to handle. Now, this gives me an opportunity to talk a little bit about the differences between each of the versions of the game. This is the DS version, obviously. And this is the Feral Ball, which, again, isn't too particularly tough. Again, we want to take care of the scare root first. Yeah, the Feral Balls, all they do is attack or potentially run away. But anyway, the differences between this version of the game and the other two versions. There's 3 versions of this game, actually. There is the DS version, which is what I'm playing. There's the original Super Nintendo version, which is Japan exclusive, but if you happen to have the fan translation, then you could be playing that game. And then there is the iOS, Android versions of the game, which are also a thing. The differences between all 3 versions, aside from quality of translation, they're basically identical, even right down to what items you can find and where, at least for the main storyline. In terms of mechanics, this game, the DS, enemies in the DS and iOS versions, except for bosses, have less HP and deal less damage than they otherwise would in the original Super Nintendo version. And the iOS version has a few different changes that I'll get into a little bit later that make the game even easier than it was before. Just to make it a little bit more accessible, I guess, to mobile users. Oops, sorry about that. But that's pretty much the limit of all the differences. I personally prefer playing on the DS just because I like playing on console hardware rather than my cell phone, but that's probably could just be me. It might just be that my phone is so old and crap and off-brand that it might not run this game very well anyway, but there we go. But anyway, in the next episode of Let's Play Dragon Quest VI, we'll make our way down the rest of this mountain pass, head on over to Haggleton, and we will try and sell off our goods and buy the festival crown. See you guys then!